would be interesting. I think what would be more interesting is if they cast me for the next season of The Bachelor.
Fessy recently tweeted about getting more professional athletes on the challenge. What do you kind of make about that? Is he just trying to start drama to get on another season? Do you agree?
Fessy needs to put his phone down, okay? Fessy needs to stop tweeting because, as much as we want to sit here and call the challenge the fifth major American sport, which in a lot of ways it is, at the end of the day, it is a competition show, okay? It's a reality show, and it's like we've seen in the past sometimes, and there's obviously exceptions to the rules, when professional athletes come on the challenge, it's not necessarily, they're not exactly cut out for it because a lot of professional athletes are used to doing one thing and doing one thing very well. And they'll come into the challenge, and when the rules are kind of murky here and there, and the game's different every day, and there's so much house reality and drama and politics going on. And when they're so used to things being, again, set in stone and operating one way, they come in and it's like the challenge. You can't just be good at one thing. You have to be good at everything. So I'm not necessarily sure that that's like the right comparison to make. And there was obviously a lot said. I knew right when that tweet was fired off, I'm like, this is not going to age well. And it did not, because he obviously piqued the interest of Danny, who was the most recent winner of the Challenge USA, who just so happens to be an ex-professional football player. So he obviously had something to say about that. And then, Danny's wife got involved. And that's just, the fact that we're talking about it right now just goes to show that it caught a lot of people's attention. And unfortunately, I don't think that really worked in Fessy's favor all that well. So, yeah. Put down your phone. Put down your phone, Fessy.
Put it down. I know something else that caught a lot of people's attention was you and Tyson having some back and forth. Would you ever face off against him if he was invited onto the challenge?
Absolutely. As long as it's not pickleball or long distance running. I would love to go against him in a Sudoku puzzle because we all know how good he is at those. But no, I would love that. Listen, for all the that I give Tyson for, having, again, maybe him and Fessy should do the same thing and just put their phones down because they like to say a lot of things on Twitter that get them in a lot of trouble. For all the things I said about Tyson, I think the CBS challenge would not have been the same without his presence on it. And I got to give the guy a lot of credit because he, is one of the few people that I've seen in the past who have really been able to make the crossover from Survivor, from a Big Brother, into the challenge with relative ease. Now, granted, there wasn't a veteran presence there to kind of set him straight when he got a little mouthy here and there. But the challenge is it's a different world, man. And it doesn't matter what other competition shows you've done. It doesn't matter if you've won Survivor, if you've won Big Brother. Challenge is a whole other animal, just because the game. It's not necessarily the competitions, but it's the house drama, it's the politicking, it's just how to strategize within the house. And after watching Survivor, because I started watching a few seasons after the season of the Challenge USA, the way people politic on Survivor is so much different. So only knowing that way of strategizing and forming alliances and politicking and then coming into the challenge and having to learn that on the fly and be able to do it, I think that, what he brought to the table in that regard was almost more impressive than what he did from the physical aspect. However, I stand by the fact that as much as he wants to say hey, I made it to the end and I'll run circles around these MTV challenge people, it would have been a whole different story had there been a little more of a veteran presence there. You know what I mean? It's like me saying, yeah, if I went back and played T-ball, I'd absolutely rate these kids. It's like, yeah, of course, because there's nobody there that's your age that's going to be able to compete with you,
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. And I know that a lot of people would love to see you on Celebrity Big Brother. And I know you've been teasing it, here and there. Would you ever do it?
Absolutely. I don't know if I'd last very long because I hear from everybody that they say the same thing about Survivor. They're like, dude, because the problem with a lot of these other shows, there isn't necessarily there are in some regards, but there's not the elimination way to kind of save yourself. But I would love to. I'd like to do those shows just to be able to see how I operate in those different environments and how well I'm able to kind of take what I know on the challenge and apply it to, you know, a different show and a different format and a different strategy. I think I would have to keep my mouth shut, which is obviously difficult for me. That's never been my strong suit. Mm-hmm. Great talker, terrible listener, as you can tell by this interview. No. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I think what would be more interesting is if they cast me for the next season of The Bachelor.
I'm here for it.
The Banachler.
It writes itself.
Right?
So, would you seriously do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if they brought me on, I mean, I haven't had a whole lot finding love in other aspects of the world, so why not try and do it on national television?
I'm here for it.
What could possibly go wrong?